वही तो sir, that
But
is the most
मेरा problem
difficult
नहीं है,
part.
ये presidents का problem.
Welcome to this members meet, and today on Saturday at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. All those people who've joined from all over, good to see you all, and I'm sure more people are joining in. We already have, I think, as per about an hour and a half ago, almost 80 plus registrations for this members meet and ATOI Adventure Talks. Before I introduce the star of the afternoon, Okan Tayang, I will just elaborate a little bit on these ATO Adventure Talks, which we are today onto our second episode. I think we are going to continue with this, bringing a lot of inspiring stories from the adventure world to all our members. I think especially over the next couple of weeks, and we intend to continue with this with the ATO Adventure Talks in the coming few months as well, because I think there are a lot of people around who've done some amazing journeys, who's done some amazing adventures, and it's always, I always say, it's always good to hear from the horse's mouth, you know. About almost a month back, we had Rajan Tiwari, who walked from the source to the Ganga Sagar, 2,500 kilometers. And today, let me introduce you to our dear colleague, friend and a partner from the Northeast of Arunachal, Oken Tayang, who's here with us. Oken, one of the best outdoor active travel companies in Arunachal. He's based, he lives out of Itanagar, but he's based in Pasighat, where he has a lovely lodge as well. Oken has three brothers. He's the youngest of three brothers, which I do doubt actually. He graduated from Delhi University in English literature. He started his career into doing documentary filming. Then he started and founded Abor Country Travel and Expeditions in 2002. He conducts trekking and rafting expeditions and cultural trips in the Northeast and Arunachal, of course. He has a list of very distinguished clients who have been traveling with him, people like Amir Khan, people like author like Arundhati Roy, various ambassadors, Hollywood producer Peter Gubert, industrialist Nirija Billa, etc. He's widely traveled around the world. He's trained himself in rafting. He's a para rider and a microlight flyer as well. You know. Currently, Oken is working on the Hump World War II Museum at Pasighat, a memorial dedicated to the airmen and personnel of the Hump operation. I'm sure we're going to listen to him and discover more as we go into, as I go into a chat with him in a couple of minutes. So I'm going to open this meeting to members speak as we were continuing, and we'll come back to Oken in a while. So that's it. Rajesh, you want a story out from your side or something? As somebody who said, let's listen to Rajesh's Corona story or something, you know. So the house is open for a member speak. So please go right ahead one by one. Thank you.
No, friends, good afternoon, everyone. And it's nice to be back after these 2 months of mayhem or tsunami or whatever name one will like to give. But we are now have got together to look at the positive side of the things. And so I think all of us has a string of, you know, sad stories and friends and colleagues who went through trauma. So I will actually save everyone from that because everyone has a big story to tell. But yes, I am coming on the positivity note. I at least still see that a month and a half before any green shoots will starts appearing. So later on, when we finish with this Oken's, you know, I like to come up with the point of view, how they are looking at this pandemic and when they are thinking that small little movements can start happening. But anyway, with these thoughts, I will pass on the bait into someone else who would like to pick it up and say something more.
Thank you, Rajesh. Now, can I ask everyone to please mute yourself unless you are speaking, because when we have somebody speaking, there's a lot of disturbance in the back and it's little annoying, I think. So I would really request everyone who's not speaking to keep yourself on mute and so that other person can express and it's audible to everyone, so who's coming next with a quick little member speak? I see Dhruv Razdan has joined us today, which is wonderful. All these youngsters around. So I see we have 45 people already signed in. So I can't call everybody's name, but welcome everyone. I see Loveleen, my dear friend from Bangalore, who's joined in as well. Loveleen, thank you. I see Vignesh there. So anybody has to put something across. Dilshad, you have some words? Okay. Well, it's a member speak time, guys. Come on.
गंगा किनारे की कुछ कहानियां अरविंद भारद्वाज सुना सकते हैं।
अरविंद भारद्वाज अभी शायद बिलासपुर में बैठे हैं। वो गांधी क्या वो अरविंद जी प्लीज।
मैं अभी बिलासपुर में हूँ, पर अभी गंगा की कहानियां तो नहीं सुना पाएंगे। होपफुली 26 तक तो है लॉकडाउन, यहाँ पे चांस है खुलने का, पूरा पक्का बताइए, क्योंकि अभी उत्तराखंड में बच्चे काफी बीमार हो रहे हैं। तो शायद ब्लैक फंगस और ये व्हाइट फंगस एम्स में काफी केस आ गए हैं। तो अभी वो नदी को तो बस नदी तो सपना ही अभी फॉर द टाइम बीइंग। स्नो इज मेल्टिंग।
Vishwas, if I can ask you, and I remember we have Milind and we have some other people also who have got some very core knowledge about medicine and things like that. And I remember there was some doctor also in our group. If because there are so many rumors, and I'm sorry to take it back to COVID, but if this someone out of us can speak on this black fungus thing and what to do, what not to do briefly. It's about COVID, sorry, but it's about giving right information, which is just totally not available online or everywhere. If it's possible, Vishwas.
Sure. I think before I put that out, I think I also wanted to announce to everybody that this members meet is also live today on 2tv.in. It's in collaboration with Anil Sharma ji, who's also logged in here. This is the first time ATOI is going live with this members meet and our ATOI Adventure Talks. A big hand to admin for making this happen. I also have Dorje Namgyal from Leh who joined in. Jule, Dorje, good to see you. Welcome. I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert on, to be honest, on this COVID thing, but I have been. I can say I'm a COVID graduated recently. I think thanks to all the support from Radesh and everyone who's almost like a professor on COVID, I would say by now. But I think on this black fungus thing, if anybody has more knowledge, we'll be happy to please share with everybody quickly. Because there is a webinar.
Yes, there is a webinar going to happen today. If you want, I can share the link by Dr. D.K. Gupta of Felix Hospital, Noida. He's handling 4 cases of Noida currently in his hospital. So if you guys want, I can share the link.
Why not?
And he is very good.
Yeah,
he
sure.
is part of Noida Federation and I'm part of that. So he has been guiding us throughout. So if you people want, I can share his details and we can all log in and whoever gets time can watch it and probably can record also.
Sure. That's a good idea. Please share that with Sonam.
Yeah, I'll right now send it in Telegram.
Meanwhile, I see Dilshad want to say something.
Yeah,
please.
I just wanted to say that this black fungus, the first note that went out from the medical profession was about 3 weeks back. And it was highlighted first by Dr. Sudipto Pakrasi, who is the head of ophthalmology at Medanta, because he came across almost, he told me 6 cases in one day and almost 100 cases over the last 3 weeks. And if we like, maybe in the next session or whenever we're having the next meeting, I can ask Sudipto if he would like to come and speak. I'm sure he will agree and come and speak and address everyone here in, about black fungus and what it entails, if that's what is needed.
Good idea, Dilshad. I think we should surely going forward. Well, we can do a special members being just for that. I think would be very useful for people to listen to.
We can
also, the horse's mouth.
we can also ask Dr. Rajesh Bhardwaj to come in. He's another adventurer. They're both trekkers, and Doc B can also step in and give some advice on how to handle this kind of thing. Because, you know, the black fungus issue is in fact very, very, very relevant to us in the community, because we all use oxygen cylinders at high altitudes. And this is the first time that I have personally heard of, you know, black fungus infection. And I think it's very important as an adventure travel community that we know a little bit more about this, so that we're all prepared and more aware of it when we go back on our treks.
Absolutely, Dilshad. I think,
sorry.
yes.
No, I was
Yes, Rajesh,
what
go
Dilshad
ahead.
was saying, that she was talking about 2-3 experts. So why not very quickly? I think this information will be much more relevant if we can disseminate it quickly. So maybe in couple of days in the secretariat, in 2-3 days, can do a kind of meeting of 4-5 experts we can get together, and everyone can log in and we can announce a Zoom meeting where everyone will get, you know, benefited by that talk. So may think of it, Vinayak.
Sure, Rajesh. Like I said, and that's why I requested Vishwas if we can again digress from the happy mode, and which is we are still in, and talk about still mode, because this, I mean, probably like Vishwas said, everybody is now little decently graduated on COVID, but this black fungus is serious, and there's so much of. Yesterday, I tried to Google a lot, find out a lot, but I ended up more confused than I was before. So it's important to know, and it's affecting badly everybody.
Sure, Vinayak, let's do it. I think if you can coordinate that with Dilshad and Sonam can take this forward, maybe in a week's time we can have a members meet just dedicated to this aspect of knowledge sharing and enhancing our thoughts on this going forward. So we can take care of things in the outdoors as things go forward and as things open up. I think that will be something very nice.
Moving on to back other things.
Captain Saab, is there?
I see Vishwas asking everybody to come and speak, which we have always faced in physical meetings also. Members not coming up and speak. Friends, this is not coming up and giving a speech. We can all open up our, even if it means a bit of chaos for next 5 minutes, we can speak to each other. Or in our comment section, you can give your thoughts, what else we can do for the next meeting tomorrow or the next week. Please speak up, friends. I mean, these meetings are only for us to feel good, apart from the knowledge which speaker like OK and others will give us, but it's basically to all of us to connect, which we have really got isolated, and especially this wave is worse than last year. We did a great job last year in connecting with each other, and we have to improve this year, I guess.
Thanks, Vinayak. I think Abhay wants to say something. Abhay, yes, please.
Yes, thank you very much, and good morning to everyone. Good afternoon, I should say. But the point that I wanted to raise was we are the beneficiary of one of the interest rate subvention schemes by RBI, and the sheer registration under the Udyam initiative, the Udyam certificate, and a GST paying entity is entitled for that subvention. So this is just for the information of all the members that the MSME registration and GST registration has helped us to get that. I am sure those who are having some credit relationship with the banks can also apply through their bank for this RBI scheme, wherein you get a refund of a part of your interest payment. So this is just for information. It might benefit members.
Excellent, very good.
Thank you.
Abhay,
Thank you.
Do you have by any chance some circular, something which you can share with ATOI and we can forward it to members? That will be helpful.
I will surely send it across to the secretariat. It could be designated.
Thank you, Abhay. Wonderful for sharing this useful information. Sudeshji, would you like to say something? Mayur, I'll come back to you once Sudeshji has said.
After that, sir, Vishwas sir, after that, I see Dorje here. After Sudesh Kumarji speaks, I came to know from some people that tourists are traveling to Ladakh. So maybe Dorje can update us if it's true or not, or if it's just rumors. After Sudesh sir speaks. Thanks.
Well,
Dorje, go ahead.
Okay, Dorje, first you speak. I'm anyway keep on speaking all the time. Go ahead.
Yes, hi everyone. This past 2 weeks we had some good arrivals from various cities, from Bombay, Pune, Delhi, and other parts of Rajasthan also. So it was the average arrival it was a very good week this time. So lots of people are visiting in small numbers, not in big groups, but smaller families. People from 6 to 8 packs, they are reaching us. So today also I had an arrival of 5 to 10 rooms. So, but now today there has been a weekend lockdown for today and tomorrow. So it's the government is not sure about the SOP, how to operate the tourists, because for locals it's a complete lockdown. Only the government workers can go and visit their offices, but rest everybody has to stay at home. But they haven't taken a proper SOP for tourists. But yes, people are coming. Vinayak, lots of people are coming, and most of the good hotels are also operating. So yes,
Good to
let's
know
see
that,
what
OJ.
will
So
go.
what are the SOPs when a tourist comes in quarantine or RT-PCR? How do you go about for the first few days?
So there is just like other destinations, we need RT-PCR negative, which is valid for 92 hours. So that is it. Nothing much about rest. We are giving the government is giving permit to visit all the places like Nubra, Kargil, Pangong, and elsewhere in Ladakh. So there's no such restrictions for the tourists, although they cannot go to the market and do shoppings and all. But yes, they can stay in their hotels and visit other destinations. Yeah. So we have tried opening the sightseeing places like the Sham Valley, Nubra, and do some activities like camel riding. The ATVs are open with the proper SOPs, and even we have opened the rafting last week. So yes, so some of the activities has opened, and right now things are going good in small
Thank you, OJ.
numbers.
Vishwas, this is great news, I guess, isn't it? Some positive news coming from somewhere. Thank you.
It's a
Yeah, yeah.
super news, super good news.
Vinayak, I would like to just reconfirm with Dorje, because I have been informed yesterday
Mhm.
that even if somebody is carrying an RT-PCR negative test for of 96 hours, on
Mhm.
arrival, he has to still go for a rapid antigen test. Is it correct?
That is one problem. The government has they have verbally spoken about it, but today I had an arrival of 5 to 6 guests, and I asked them was there any test. So they haven't gone through any rapid test for now. The main problem here is the government wants to operate. The locals are very much skeptical about, or very reluctant about receiving the tourist here. So the industry people are saying we'll operate with proper SOPs, but half of the population doesn't want tourists to visit the local villages. So in that thing, the government, the UT administration of Ladakh hasn't come with some proper SOPs till date. So let's see till Monday, maybe we'll come with a proper SOP how we'll operate tourist. So right now, even there is no proper SOP for the cars to go to the sightseeing places. So
Can
let's
I
see
can
today
I
and
just
tomorrow.
say something uh, regarding Ladakh specifically? Amir Khan's crew of Lal Singh Chadda was in Ladakh about 16 days back.
Yes.
They went by a chartered flight. I think there were 26 or 30 people in the plane. 80% of them came out RT-PCR positive when they landed in Bombay.
All right.
80%. Almost 20 people from 26 people were RT-PCR positive. And they'd all got negative reports before they got onto that chartered flight. So I think we really need to be aware that the local population may be having a point,
Yes.
and perhaps it's imperative on us to be a little bit more prudent about starting tourism in a place like Ladakh, where if it just explodes, it's going to be very hard to control.
Because the infections have come up very high, and this is
Yes.
not because it's there was the last week was not that great. There was so many, a few more casualties last week, among which there was lots of locals there. And when we calculate among the 1 lakh population from Leh and another lakh from Kargil, it comes up very high. So, but the industry people, because of being so much dependent upon the tourism, people are like, we were all free from September 2019. So now people wants government to build such an SOP or infrastructure so that some amount of tourists, not in big numbers, but at least 30 to 40% people get engaged and get their daily wage. So yeah, there is a dilemma of what to do, what not to do, because we have to go through, because the civil society had a meeting where the hotel and the tour operators were invited, and they pleaded everybody that let's go for a 2 weeks complete lockdown, which is from today. But then the government couldn't stop the tourists from coming altogether. So yes, now we are trying to maintain as much as distance from the local population, just visit the sightseeing place, visit the lake, and just go back.
Thank you, Dorje. That's very, very useful. And of course, I quite tend to agree with what Dilshad just mentioned. Of course, we all want to earn our livelihoods, or in a small way, in today's time, as we've all been suffering for several months, especially local communities up in Ladakh or Zanskar or in Nubra or Spiti or whatever. But yes, we also have to we have to sensitize ourselves very clearly to the local needs and local medical infrastructure and local communities. And that's what I think where our responsibility comes in, from all over the country, I think. So Dorje, just hold on for a couple of more, I would say, months. Things will turn around and we will all be, I think, smiling and sitting together up in Ladakh and enjoying the great times around the Indus. So just tell our friends in Ladakh to stay put and stay strong.
Yes,
we'll all get over the hill slowly. As I say, we shall overcome. And we will, as a community, and we are all very resilient, I think, and we will go through this. Good. Sorry, Swadeshi, I think your turn, sir, before I start the chat with Oken, who's...
It's okay, no problem. I must tell you, good afternoon, my friends. A lot of people have gone from this world, friends, and it's very sad, very, very, very sad, very unfortunate. Last week, I was so scared even picking up a phone, a lady crying. Fortunately, this week was a little better, cooling down and things like this. But what's happening is, I must tell you that I have a very huge operation in Uttarakhand. And there I talk to my staff every day in the morning. And they're saying it's getting bad to worst every day. People are getting sick. Problem in places like small villages in Uttarakhand is that there is no medical facilities and things like this. So they don't think it's a COVID. They think it is some viral fever and it'll go away automatically. It doesn't go away. People are unfortunately so let's pray. Another good thing is that in UK, for example, when the second wave came, it came abruptly like a huge disaster they brought, and it went back very quickly. And I pray and I hope this particular second wave in India, which has come, will also go away fast. And I don't know any of you are astrologer or believe in numbers. This my own feeling is that by end of middle of June we'll have cooling down period will start, and but June definitely will have a peace, and hopefully, God willing, September onwards business will move a little bit. But I think the question today is, I must tell you, when I ask someone, person like me who is very active in business, wants to do business yesterday, as good as this one, I also feel very scared now. I say it's better to take precautions, stay at home rather than live rather than die. So it is a very, very serious problem, my friends. But I must tell you, we must remain positive, safe, healthy, eat good food, and think positive things. Nothing is yet common. This is when the dip comes, the growth is double. Just remember this: when God closes one door, 100 doors more open. It's a question of picking it up. I assure you, that this will pass away. It is gone. People didn't want 1947 and 60s, and every 10, 20 years some disaster takes place, and we come out of it. We'll also come out of it. Only thing is what's happening is none of us are prepared mentally, financially to overcome, see that it can happen. So I'm grateful to all of you. You have a good heart, good things, keep smiling, helping each other. Just remember one point I want to again share with you. I've been telling for the last, whenever the disaster took place, whether it was in September in the USA, things that happened, or there's a war, and so I've been telling members, we are mountaineers. We only climb summit if we hold each other's hand. Please hold each other's hand, help each other. Even to pick up a phone call, call 10 times your friends, how are you? Just 10 calls a day. Give happiness. I try very hard to do this sometime. And I want you to keep you, let's hold each other's hand. A friendship, love and affection. And believe me, we'll succeed. 100% will succeed. We'll reach the summit. We'll climb. We reach the summit of life, this business, this whole thing soon if we hold each other's hand. And if somebody is falling, hold his rope and bring him out of the chaos and take him out, give him breathing time and help him. With these words, Mr. President, I only wish and pray everybody's safety, good health, and business we'll talk later on. Let's talk of being healthy and remain happy. All the best. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Sudeshji, for your wisdom and for your words like always and for your support to the community. I have two, okay, so before I begin, I have two hands raised up. So I'm going to go to Sunil Gupta ji first, if he has to say something. Sunil ji.
Thank you, Vishwas ji. I hope I am audible. Okay, just a small mention. In Agra, Agra Development Authority, ADA, and ASI, they put dual ticket on the monuments in Agra. And last month, Agra Development Authority had proposed a very hefty increase on all the monuments, and on some monuments it was as high as 100%. We have been rigorously opposing, and now unofficially we understand that it has been put on hold. So that's all I wanted to inform you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunil ji. That's very, very good news.
Are they mad? Sunil, are they mad?
Yes, sir.
Sunil ji, thank you for always your efforts. Always your efforts.
They are mad, sir.
They're mad, stupid. Tell them they're stupid.
We tried to tell them, sir, but there was no polite manner.
In fact, they should say, no charges at all for some time. Please come.
Agra was the exception when all the tourism products all over the world were being discounted and, offers were being made. We tried to increase it by 100%. So,
God, I tell you, crazy.
That's why we have the Pagalkhana in Agra, sir.
Thank you, Sunil ji, for that wisdom and sharing. And thank you for your relentless efforts for keeping Agra going for all of us as an industry. And you've been an old hand there, and you've been like a pillar and a rock for all of us. And thank you. Anybody else? So quickly, I think we're all waiting to get to Oken. I think he's all set to start sharing things. So I'm going to switch over to our dear Oken. Now, Oken, and I would say quickly again 2 more minutes before I start barging in with questions. Now, Oken and me, of course, he's well known in the industry, and I have known him for a long, long time. But more so closely, to be honest, we spent about 2 weeks together in October last year, when the government of Arunachal Pradesh, along with Oken's company, invited some of us for a fact-finding mission or learning about deeper Arunachal. And during one of the drives, and I think Oken mentioned very casually, like he is a very understated player or understated person. Oh, I went once looking for this wreckage of World War II, planes. What does that mean? So in the evening we got together, had a glass of rum together, and that's when it started flowing out. It was a very interesting story, and I thought then just 2 weeks ago when we were starting to talk about ATOAI Adventure Talks within the office bearers groups. So I proposed Oken's name. I said, well, let's start with Oken's American World War II wreckage of planes all over Arunachal, but he was at that time fighting post-COVID symptoms in terms of recovery. So he said, Vishwas, if I have to speak so aggressively and so much of passion. I need to recover for another week, 10 days, So here we are, okay. I think a COVID graduated, revived, full of energy, and we can't wait to hear from you. I think all of us, we already have 55 people on, okay. So I think we can start with our little chat. Okay, I think I want to allow you to maybe speak a couple of minutes about yourself. And then my first question should possibly be, I mean, how in the hell all these things start about this World War II American planes, But first, 2 minutes of yourself, and then please elaborate on this question. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Biswas, and good afternoon, everybody. So, like Biswas mentioned, I'm a COVID graduate, just got back to form. I think I'm 100% back to normal now. And my course on the COVID was Azid Bazaz. So, but now all back to normal. And I really like to thank ATOAI and Biswas for giving me this opportunity to share a bit of my experience story on that plane crashes and my involvement in finding them and helping the family members, to take accounts of their missing relatives and friends. So first of all, I mean, I've been always interested in aviation from my childhood. Whenever there's a pilot or plane that comes and land in our town, I used to get really excited. And few times I could even go over and ask them if I could take a look at the cockpit and things like that. And on the other hand, we always had the stories about, from our father's generation or grandfather's generation, these planes which are lying in deep in the jungle. And, in some villages and also in my parents' village, we used to see these fans of a kitchen garden with a whole wing placed there. And some people would bring back bits and pieces of metals and melt it into some pot and this kind of things, And then particularly, there was 2 wings made into fans had this star, which American planes usually bear. Then, then from that point, I could, I could manage to figure out these are American planes, So it has been playing on my mind for a long time, and on and off. If I get any interesting stories, I try to. It used to always fascinate me. But in 2006, I got an email from this American guy called Clayton Cools. So he's a real estate businessman from Arizona. But his passion is, finding these lost American planes from the Second World War. He started in China, then went to Burma. Then he said, there are planes from American planes that crashed in Arunachal, Northeast India. And, there are lots of them. I want to come and, find them. And that was really, really, really exciting for me. I thought it was something like an answer to all the questions that I had in my mind all these years. So, and the moment we started exchanging emails, he said, if the moment we know, any marking or any number on the aircraft, I can tell you which aircraft was it, who were the lost airmen, and the whole story of the plane, basically. So I was just waiting for him to come and, really looking forward for this adventure. And I said, I'll take you to all these places. I know at least 10 of them and things like that. And just to give you briefly a brief of this operation, during Second World War, I mean, this whole, what was happening was, the Americans were already fighting the Japanese. And the Japanese just started a big war with China. And China at that point was, almost at the verge of losing out because Japanese were really going in. They were taking over almost all the major ports in China. Then, for a long time, Americans were supplying to China through what we call is the Stilwell Road, the Ledo Road. The Ledo Road that starts from Assam and going through Myanmar, Burma, those days, and go into China. But as the Japanese were progressing, they took over all the ports and all the major areas in Myanmar. So that road was closed. Now, and for some reason, the Chinese Generalissimo Chiang Kai-shek convinced that if you help us fight the Japanese, basically by supplying, by supplies, these were fuel, ammunition, medicines, food, all kind of things, then it would be easier for you, in Europe or in the Pacific to fight the Japanese. So the US agreed, okay, we'll start supplying you from Assam to Kunming. But and also the road connection was closed. So then they decided that we'll start supplying China by air. So they brought in, they lost close to about 700 plus aircrafts. You can imagine, they would fly every 2 minutes, one aircraft used to take off around the year. You can imagine the kind of weather we have. Notice India during monsoon is the worst kind of aviation weather you can encounter here. Thunderstorm and torrential rain. And these pilots were really, really poorly trained. They'll train for about 4 or 5 months, mostly with a single engine aircraft. And even the pilots themselves, they used to send they were really down in the food chain. Best ones were sent to Europe, in Germany. So the bache kuche hai, not very good ones, they used to send them here. So in the process, and these are really young people, 20, 21, and they used to just fly from Assam, and it was about 500 miles, which usually takes about 2 to 3 hours. And they were given they were supposed to fly 170 hours, then you can go back home. So these boys used to really push ki jaldi yahan se nikalna hai. They used to do 3 flights a day, you can imagine. Just go and come back. So in the process, they lost close to 1,000 planes, 1,314 airmen. So it's just all over the place. Just, just so many planes. We've gone to at least about, I would say so far we have gone to about 20, 25 of them. So, well, I'll just pause so that if you have any questions.
Okay, great. That's a great start, I think, to this wonderful story. So I have something for everybody's benefit. So you said this has been a childhood thought always when you saw those planes, wings in the gardens of your grandparents' houses, or they were just lying around. And it worked on your mind for so many years. And in 2006, this guy Clayton, he emailed you. Why did he email you of all the people in Arunachal first? That's my first question. Was the word out already, or did you put the word out already, or just?
Yeah, that's really. I think basically, he definitely didn't know about my background in the interest on these planes, but I think he was looking for a reliable, credible operator. So I would like to think that way. So
well, that's being very optimistic, knowing you again.
Yeah. So that's how he got in touch. The reliable operator. Yeah, but it turns out that the kind of interest we shared was really, really something unique and amazing. So. And then initially I took him to 2 sites, and it was like a treasure hunt. We'll just. And most of these planes are in very remote areas. We have to walk 5-6 days, and they are up at about 30,000 feet sometimes. And suddenly when you get there, you have this big mass of metal lying there. And it's an American plane. But Clayton will just go around digging to find a number. The moment he has a number, he has all the records, so he can tell me, okay, this plane took off from Chabua, 10:30 in the morning, and then in 11:15 they lost contact with the radio, and nobody knows what happened to them. Nobody knows for 60 years completely where has it gone, where is it crashed. So then the whole puzzle fades, and really interesting. Then he started taking this information back to the family members. So he bring it back to them. Okay, here is your uncle, or here is your father or your brother who you thought were missing or dead for last 60 years. So this is where the plane is lying. So it's a very, very emotional thing. And I used to get into that psyche that, how much it means for a family, to have lost somebody and no news for 50, 60 years. And, somebody comes and tell you, where they are, and they had some, he could recover some personal effects, some dog tag, which had the name on it and a gun and things like that. So then, so it was really getting very emotional, very interesting. And the family members, some of them wanted to speak to me, and they will ask me as if, I met their relative, what did you find? Could you see a hat, or could you see a shoe or his gun, things like that.
I believe Vishwas' laptop has got stuck and he has got out of the meeting. So this is a fascinating
I have
story.
a question. Were there any survivors, or are there any stories of any survivors of these crash?
Yes, there were a number of survivors. In Arunachal, there were at least 3 of them. So these people were flying from Jorhat, 6 of them. Then in Burma, there's a mountain called Cabo Karaji, I think. So it's at about 14,000 feet. So, they had this was in winter. So they used to have this thing called icing. So what happened is, the glass, the windshield of the plane used to be totally covered by ice. So in the process, those days they didn't have radar. There's hardly any instrument flying. They were just used to look out from the, through the window and fly. Then, when the glasses started icing, then, these people used to just rub it with their gloves and things like that. Then all of a sudden you see this mountain and they hit there. And so 3 of them survived, one with a broken leg. So for about 2 weeks, their friends in Calcutta thought they were dead, and they started selling their bicycle and things like that. But they crawl out to a village with a broken leg, and to a village in Lohit district. And the villagers took care of them, and the British were there in Arunachal already. So they put the word to the nearest British base, and they were taken out. And one of them, in fact, tried to come back. This was, I think, at least 8 years ago. One of them tried to come back, but he was already 86 or something, so he couldn't make it.
Interesting. Could you tell me, do you know the name of the aircraft, some of the aircrafts?
Yes. They used to have really fancy names. In the nose, they used to paint mostly naked girls. They had Memphis Belle, and all kind of interesting names.
Is a biplanes or what?
Well, no, these are big planes. C-47, B-24, C-17. Like the size of Dakota. Remember those Dakota airplanes?
Of course.
C-46. Those kind of planes mostly.
I used to fly aircraft myself, and I'm very excited to know all this.
Oh, I see. This is a big transport aircraft.
I used to be instructor on Tiger Moth.
So I see. I see. Those are big planes. Yeah.
Do you have any pictures of this plane, Joaquin?
Yeah, I shared it with the ATOAI office, but personally, I'm happy to share with you, later on.
Yeah,
so there's lots of pictures. Lots and lots of pictures. So what happened is, one nephew of one airman, he decided he wanted to come and go to his uncle's crash site. So this plane was called Hot as Hell. So this crashed in a place called Damro, one of my parents' village. So he said he wanted to come, but I checked on his background because it's a tough trek. You have to trek 2 days. The second day is on a really steep climb for about 2 hours. So I was just checking, whether you can make it or not. And he was an executive in IBM. So, I was thinking maybe not the best candidate, but I said, you really need to train hard if you want to get there. So finally, when he came and he had a very intensive interaction with Clayton. And Clayton, interestingly, was the ex-army, he was a tanker. So, if he asked me what kind of clothing is good for him, I would have recommended wear something very light, one of these Decathlon stuffs are very good. But having got advice from Clayton, who was an American gunner in the 80s, he came with this really heavy, American boots and this cargo pants and things like that. Then he really wanted to go. He said, then first day into the trek, he was like completely gone, I mean, I would say he didn't know the basic, when you walk, when you trek, you have a food out, place it on the ground, make sure it's firm, then you bring out the other one. So he would just walk and roll down the hill, we'll pull him up, and we had 6 guys just drag him up to the side. But he really wanted to go. That was really environable, I mean, I would have said, okay, just forget it, just go back. But he really wanted to go. And the second day when we got them there, he was a Jew, so he pulled out some Jewish prayer stuff, and he started crying. Then, I started crying with him because it's very emotional. He pulled out his uncle's picture and things like that. Then on the way back, he said, I cannot walk anymore. It's done. Please call the American ambassador and ask them to send me a helicopter. And I said, I don't think there's something I can do. And also, if I call the American embassy, they would probably scold me, why didn't you inform us when somebody like him was coming? Then I was thinking what to do. I said, just rest for tonight. Tomorrow you can take it. No, I just cannot. I'm going to die if I stay for one more night. You must get me out with a helicopter. And, so he was really, really fatigued. Then I was really in a dilemma. Should I call the Americans? Then, and I thought if he dies, he was scribbling down everything, everything that goes on. So I'm sure it's going into the diary, said, I'm asking Oken to. So, then I said, so I went down to there's a small hospital in the nearest town from the side. So I told them, can you just go up and just give him something, so he can come back. So, but these people are very reluctant because, the local pharmacists, they know exactly where this site is. And they said, no, we don't want to go there. And this was September, it's still raining, so many glitches. So I, somehow motivated him with some, some money and things like that. So he gave him an injection. I found out it was a muscle relaxant. So next day he came down and he thanked him for his life and everything. But somehow he was had a very strong network in the US government. He knew the local governor and things like that. So he went back and through his local governor, he pushed the US government that, here is, and the US government has a department which totally do this kind of work. They go and find missing lost American planes from all over the world, from the Pacific, from Europe, in Southeast Asia. So he said, he approached, push it through the local government saying that, here's my uncle and you have to go and find him. So that's how the US government came into the picture. And since 2009, I've been working with them on and off, officially with the US military, and they would come and conduct these missions. Any more? Yeah. Any more questions?
Amazing story, amazing story. Beautiful, absolutely.
What is you said there are 1,000 planes. Sorry, did I interrupt you, sir? Swadesha?
No, carry on, please carry on.
You said that there are almost 1,000 odd planes which fell on that route, but how many of them is there any guesstimate that how many of them will be on the Arunachal side?
Yeah, Arunachal, I would say at least there will be about 300 of them, and there are planes in all the states in northeast, including Assam, Mizoram, Nagaland, and also, when the war ended, they were flying the aircraft back to US via Lahore. So, you would find planes even in Bhutan. They were flying from Assam across Bhutan to Lahore. So we found planes, very close to the Bhutanese border. And Ajit and I went for a trek recently, very close to Bhutanese border. So, there are some planes there. So it's just all over the place. So they lost about 700 some odd planes. So you can imagine the scale of it. And
so the story has just begun. You have just found 20 odd.
Yeah, we went to about 20 of them. We did the operation mission to about 20 of them. But we know so many of them all over the place. And whichever crashed in close by any town or thing, this have been all scavenged by Kawadis. Those days there used to be a very famous guy, Agarwal guy in Digboy. So he was the big Kawadi guy. Wherever they used to crash, he used to come with his truck, Bedford, and take it all away.
Tell me
Okay, I'm back. So sorry guys, I missed. I just got offline. There was something happened with the internet connection. So this आप कुछ बोल रहे थे. Sorry if I interrupted you.
No, it's just that do you have any problem getting permission from the government of India to visit these sites with the foreigners or something?
Yeah, no, it's a bilateral operation. So they get in touch with MEA.
The army was involved in it.
Yeah. So initially they had the army, had the Air Force combined. They were attached with the operation. Then the army. But once the trust was established, they're not doing anything suspicious. Now they just come and operate with us. So
Is this
a very lovely story, I must say.
Okay.
This is an experience that anyone interested in a topic like this, or in a can anyone come and do this, or is it only an arrangement between the Indian government and the US government?
Well, this mission, of course, is a completely government. Is a bilateral kind of mission. So on this mission, of course, it's totally official. We're not even allowed to make any press statement or share any pictures. Yeah. So, but otherwise, the sites are there, and one can, if somebody has a very, deep interest, one can explore.
So let me just understand, sorry to come in, the same question which Mohan asked. If I have a group of 4 or 5 people, and if I ask you, okay, please take us to one of the sites, will it be possible professionally for you to do that?
Yeah. I mean, of course. But like I said, we have to review the logistics involved. And, since I'm in contract with the US military officially, so I need to check with them if this is something I can do. But of course, this could be an interesting thing to explore.
Okay. I think let's go back to question and answers when I finish my question. Sorry, I had to pull out because of the technical issue, but I'm back. I'm sure Rajesh and everybody pitched in a great way. Thank you.
Can I ask something? Hello, can I ask?
I think we lost Vishwas again.
Vishwas's network has gone again, so please feel free.
Okay, can I ask you something?
Sure. Yes, please.
You have the locations of the sites that you have discovered, right?
Yes.
Was a map or something made?
So whenever we have a mission coming up, I have to give very detailed coordination, where the crash sites are. So we know it's all pinpointed on maps.
And did you make a map for yourself?
Yes, of course.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Because this whole place is very interesting.
Yes.
It's very interesting geologically, plus also, it has got history.
Of course.
And also the Sari Valley is very close to all these locations.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a very important Buddhist pilgrimage as well.
It is, yeah.
Okay, and how many such, firstly, that was a brilliant talk. Thank you so much. I mean, although I spent so much time with you, but still, that was a fascinating story. How many such expeditions have you done yourself?
Well, I've been to probably close to 20 sites, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'm back again. There's some issue at my end, but I missed your that part where my question was how many. So where are the bases? American bases were in Tezpur, or where were the American bases?
Chabua and Sukarating, Jorhat, mostly around Dibrugarh mostly, yeah. They had one in Jorhat as well.
So as per the documented, how many total number of planes went down in the Northeast? 1,000 plus?
700 something, 760 or something, yes.
Okay, interesting when you go for these kind of say search or missions, and of course there's a lot of local involvement done. So what did the locals think about this whole thing you guys were doing with all these Americans and going up into unwalkable territories where nobody has been for 70, 80 years, So what did the locals think?
The local are very, in a way very impersonal, because, and also it's they're quite curious, they want to know when we tell them the story about, the whole background and then, the details of the airmen. They're very fascinated because, for them, my father's generation, they saw these planes flying on their sky on an everyday basis. Imagine one plane every 2 minutes. So for them to figure out, okay, they're very curious. Okay, this is what, the background is. So, but otherwise, they don't have too much of attachment. They just, they're very curious and interested to find out, what was the story. And also they understand the sentimental part of it, that, how much it means to family members. So, and in most of the places very supportive, but only one incident, they don't like, in some community we have the forest, which is like secret, they don't like it being trampled or things like that, and then most of the area sometimes would be owned by community or a family member or a clan. So, in one site, we went there about 3, 4, 5 times. The whole this thing was building up, because some people wanted, it will involve lakhs and lakhs of rupees. And when it turned out that, it was because, like all other organizations, through the American, we have a very strong negotiation. There's a bidding, and, it comes down to how much porter per day we pay. So, some villagers tend to have, especially young people, they tend to have wrong kind of expectation that, there are gold in the plains and things like that. So when this kind of things happen, there's some people who instigate wrong kind of things about the whole operation. So in one side, the whole thing was building up, and that's trying to firefight, going and explaining that, this is a very sentimental kind of thing. Is for the family members. Imagine if your uncle or somebody was missing for the last 50, 60 years. So, they're coming to find them, things like that. Then what happened is one morning, one of the porters, or part of our team, met some fire, and there was a big forest fire going up, and this two of these village heads came running to me and said, you just get out of here, we don't want you anymore. And I looked up, and there was this big smoke going up in the jungle. I said, just what I wanted, So, so it was, and I had a sort of walkie-talkie, and I was screaming, please go and do something, just forget the whole operation, tell the Americans, tell them to come down also and just put out a fire, because they're going to kill me here, So all of them ran out, but the forest fire just spread. It was totally out of control. But luckily it was under the bushes, not on the big trees. Then in the evening, these villagers had a, like what do we call it? It's a kabang, it's a council, village council meeting. And I was on a trial, said you must come in the evening to this community house and explain that, why are you doing all this, So then my uncle, my maternal mama, somehow, he's a proper mama. So he did a bit of tahqiqat, what really happened. So, and I was hiring porters from these villages, young guys. So this 3 of them had made fire, they admitted that, this 3 of us had made the fire, and we tried to put it out, but we didn't do it full-heartedly. And that was the main culprit who made the fire, he was the headman's some kind of relative. So I told him, nothing will happen. You please come and admit ki yaar maine kiya hai, and just save me. So I had these 3 boys come, and they said, this is what happened. And so, the fire was put out in more ways than one for that one time. So now then the government hooked onto this. Now they said from the next mission, they must have an environment minister from Ministry of Environment has to give in clearance. So those kind of things. So many layers of regulations went in. So, but anyway, it's always been a challenge and interesting. It makes it more interesting and harder, maybe.
Wow, that's incredible. Okay, and I think now I have maybe another thought here, or say in all the missions you took with the family members or somebody who was there. So just pick up one. I'm sure there are many, but one which was one of the most memorable trip or sites I think you you have visited so far in
Yeah,
this?
the last one I described
in
about
this.
is Gary Jage, whose uncle was that. So that's, I think, one of the most memorable, and also, the whole thing led to, different kind of things. But the other interesting side was, so Clay and me, one year we went to all the site I could show him in the window of 3 months. We went to Nagaland and 3-4 sites in Arunachal. Then he still had about a week before his flight back to US. So, and he's a very restless kind of guy. He said, and of course he's paying by a day. He said, you have to take me to a site. So, and I just couldn't think of any more sites. And the few sites we know, they're really high in the mountain. It was already November. We cannot go because the snow already has set in. But we used to hear about one site very close to Itanagar, where I stay. So it's about, I would say, 2 hours walk, there. So I said, not much there, I believe, because everything has been taken away. So let's go there. So one next day we had breakfast and went out to the site. So, everything has been taken away, but they had this, what they call is the landing gear, really big metal, 2 of them, really, really heavy. They couldn't have been taken out by anything. So it was there, and we just looked around, and, he could establish he could establish the kind of aircraft it was. It was a C-46, but nothing beyond that. But what his interest is, of course, to properly identify which plane was it. Then on the way back, we had this old man standing with a bracelet, and he said, "Do you want to buy it? Because this is from this crash site, which I found, I think, some 15, 20 years back." And we asked him how much. He said 5,000. Then, a bit of bargaining and this and that. So I think we picked it up we paid him, I think, some 3,000 or something. So this bracelet had the airman's name, one of the pilot's name in it. So we did. We could figure out which plane was it. You could make the whole everything we could, and he could pull out all photographs of the plane, the airman. So just a accidental meeting with this old man. He wanted to sell a bracelet from the site with one of the airman's name on it. So it was like a puzzle being solved. That is one of the memorable ones. Yeah.
So I think it just hearing this again gives me goosebumps. I mean, this is just so incredible. I think. I mean, I'm sure people want to ask you questions, but I have one last question. Then we'll put the house open for this little open house. Now, tell us a little bit. Tell everybody a little bit about this Hump Museum, which is coming up in Pasighat, where you also have your wonderful lodge as well. So who all are involved in this? You, local government, US military? I mean, just tell us a little bit about this landmark thing coming up, I guess, in Pasighat.
Yeah. I mean, all these years, having done this work for so many years, I approached the government, particularly Natural Tourism Department, maybe we should do something, because it's a big part of our culture and history. Lots of stories around these planes. There are some stories about, the local people being possessed by one of these dead Americans. They start speaking fluent English and those kind of things, and all this interesting kind of story. So, it's a part of our whole culture, folklore, and things like that. I mean, 70 years. So, with the government, with the help of the government, we're setting up this museum called Hump World War II Museum. And other guy who's involved is my friend, he's the managing editor with India Today, Kai Phrase. He's even more a fanatic on this whole story than me. He knows the airmen personally, and he's the one who actually tried to bring one of the surviving airmen back to one of this crash site. And he's personally in touch with the veterans, the pilots association, and things like that. So he's involved, and there's another friend of mine called Moji Riba. He's an anthropologist, and so together we're trying to make this museum, which is dedicated to this whole Hump operation and the people who died here, and also given perspective from our point of view, from the local point of view. Kind of stories, what kind of stories our people have related to the Hump operation. So this coming up, and hopefully if the COVID gets better by the end of the year, we all can, come and visit. So that's what's going on.
Wonderful. Okay, so this is more like a private initiative of a couple of enthusiasts like you and your friend from India Today and the Arunachal government.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. That's great.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I would like to involve ATOAI. If anyway ATOAI can be part of this, I'll be really honored.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
my captain was an ex-airman, so he can contribute something. So,
yeah, that's wonderful. Okay, I mean, I think before I let you off to everybody else, sorry, I mean, I just can't stop with my question because this is so exciting. I think we need a couple of hours more, but we are almost out of time here, and I want to stick to the timing here. But I think you already have answered in a way that the challenges and the problems you had during these missions. I think taking permissions and getting the whole paraphernalia going through uncharted territory would have been a big logistical task, I think, but so, okay.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, initially, even for the government, this whole operation was a unprecedented kind of activity. So the Americans initially, they came in with a C-130, the Hercules aircraft, all the way from Hawaii to Lenin Dibrugarh. So they had everything, typically American, they're over-equipped. They have like, about 3 tons of pallets with all kind of equipments. They have anthropologists on board. They have a medic on board. They have a mountaineer on board. And they eat their own food, which is called MREs. They have everything on the C-130. So, and they have satellite phones and things like that. So even for the government, it was a very unprecedented kind of thing. And, though there's many layers of governmental liaisoning and things like that. But, in the first mission, they landed with this C-130 and realized they needed customs clearance and, so they had to run back, then the radio clearance and those kind of things, So, but of course, it was handled by them, and I was, I was at the service part of the whole thing. So, and sometimes you're very nervous with the whole, because I have 300 porters lined up at the site ready to go, and teams on the site, because each they would walk only till it's daylight. So I have everything set up there. So you want to go everything in a clockwork. So always very exciting, but also very nervous. But it works out. Yeah, it works out so far.
Great. Okay. Oh, what an adventure this sounds to all of us, and what all journeys you've taken. And I think I'm sure all those families who have been given closures by these missions are gratefully thankful to you. I think all the veterans, I think. I'm going to put this house open to anybody who wants to further bomb Okens with questions or whatever you have. So please raise your hand or unmute yourself, and let's go one by one. Vinayak, I think can I ask you to take this over and conduct this part?
Sure, Vishwas, sure.
Yeah, so. Come on, guys, questions.
So, okay, if I will start with the questions, maybe others will follow. So when was the last time you went on this?
Well, last year. Last year. Early last year, yeah.
Can't these aeroplanes be brought, removed from the site? Do you try to remove them?
No, it's too difficult terrain. Yeah, these are really high up in the mountain, 13,000 feet. Even to get there, you have to walk about 5-6 days. 13.
I got scared.
So, and Americans themselves, they're not interested in the plane itself. They're looking for human remains and personal items. So, and these stuffs are really heavy. And for the museum, we brought back a few machine guns. So these are like 50 kilos, so it's too much of an effort.
You said you bought machine gun from there?
Yeah. For the museum.
For the museum, I thought probably you were using it.
No, these are like machine guns for the aircraft, yeah.
Tell me, did you find any, sorry, Vinayak, one last question, I'll keep more short. Sure. Did you find any logbook in it? Some document which must be burned, must be dead by this time.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, these are, I mean, we found some diaries and things like that, but not the logbook as such. But otherwise, the US is so good in keeping records. You have pretty much everything recorded. But lots of interesting the personal effects. But, only 60, 70 years down the line with all kind of the kind of weather. So, few things are preserved really well. But there was a tire in one of this aircraft, really well preserved, and the brand Goodyear it was. So I was thinking, it's really. Then some guns we picked up, some some pistols and shoes and dog tags and marks and things like that, and some rings. So all kind of stuff.
Thank you. Mr. Sanjay Mehta has raised his hand. So please, sir. You just need to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Oken. I'm from Gujarat, Rajkot. How are you?
Good, good. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's very nice to listen because we never have come across such adventure thing. I just want to understand, I mean, whenever you have gone for such expedition, how many days you have spent in this area, I mean, on an average? And what was your most memorable moment which you found over there, which you would like to share with us? Other thing, I want to know, did you find any black box? Because these were the small aircraft. I don't know during those days, black box were there in the aircraft or not. And this is my small suggestion. You should make some document or documentary movies. So in future, the next generation, or we can also share with somebody. See, one of our friend from Far East in India had gone to this place and he found it so adventurous. So we also want to share with you. It's something very good for us to share with our people down in Gujarat also. So these are few things I just wanted for some feedback from your side.
Maybe okay, something of that sort. ATOI can prepare with you and can be sent to all the members if that's what excites Vishwas. Also, apart from Oken, yes, you can. Looks like we have lost the connection with Oken probably.
Yeah, so, that's what I.
Maybe Vishwas, it's a great idea from Mr. Mehta, and we can think about it along with what Oken has to say. So at the moment, I see Oken has lost his connection. Probably, I see Mr. Angamba also raised hand. I don't know if it's true. Okay, you can speak and we can ask Oken once he's back. Otherwise, Vishwas, over to you to discuss something else or to announce something.
No, I think, I mean, this has been a great, talk. I think this is our second ATOI Adventure talk happening, and I'm sure there'll be more going forward. I think what I sum up from Oken's thing, I think, is that, I mean, 4 words I would say: no dream too big. As he said, as a child, he had all these dreams, all his thoughts, all these planes fascinated him, and he kept this into his head, and I guess that planes wings in his grandfather's garden, I think, just kept the thought going. So I think when you have something in your head and when you want to do it and you're serious about it, things find their way to you. I think that's what I think I gather from this amazing adventure which Oken embarked upon, and things just fell into place. And if you all remember, one of my questions that, I mean, out of every people in the Northeast, why would anybody write to him from the US? This guy called Clayton, So I think it's maybe you can do a lot of karmic thing happens here if you stay focused on what you want to go for, and that's what Oken's thing has been. So inspiring and so great. And I think we're going to continue. If Oken comes back, it's good. Otherwise, I've already typed in the.
I just called him, Vishwas, and he said that he's trying to come back.
Okay, great. So just continuing on this, we're going to continue with these ATI. Sorry.
Taking this 2 minutes till the time we have Oken back. Like every time, try to have a 2 minutes of silence for people we have lost and for their families to have more strength. If that's good. Just have 2 minutes of silence for those people, because while doing this meeting also I see some WhatsApp groups. We have again lost some friends in the last couple of days. So I think it's more important, very important, I guess. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Vishwas, please carry on. Please.
I think, Vinayak, I think we can do an open house while you have a token to come back, as we had discussed, for members to speak last 20, 15 minutes. So over to you, Vinayak, to conduct that.
Well, looks like members don't want to speak. Yeah, it's open for everyone. Like I said in the beginning, we all are doing it together and for each other. So let's talk to each other. Okay is here, so probably back to okay.
Unmute yourself.
Sorry guys,
Unmute.
I had
Is he
some
back?
problem with the internet, so.
Some American plane must have come around, right?
No, okay, I think good to have you back. What I said was, and I was saying to everybody was, in this case, 4 words to sum up the whole thing is no dream too big, you know. In your case, and this is so inspiring to hear these real stories and real things happening. Mayur, can you mute yourself, please? Mayur, can you mute yourself? Thank you. So this is great. I mean, thank you again for sparing this time. Thank you for sharing these stories with us today. It's been great to listening to you. So if anybody has a question for Oken, please go right ahead. Otherwise, Vinay can take over and continue the.
Hi, Oken.
Hi.
Hi, good to see you.
Yes, likewise.
I have a question.
Yes.
Now, have you ever come across any human remains during one of your, all these explorations?
Yes. Well, we almost all the sites, some places, the whole is skeleton with clothes on, so it's quite eerie also. But bones are for some reason very well preserved, skulls and things like that. So invariably in each of the site, we have human remains. And that's what the mission is aiming for, so that they can be taken back and the family can give them a proper burial.
I was asking this because like here in Manipur, where we do this exploration with the Japanese counterparts.
Yes.
And when it comes to the issues of handling human remains, there are a lot of diplomatic and then protocols and bureaucratic the hazards.
Yes.
So have you ever come across any such kind of problem with you in Arunachal, or have they ever taken back any human remains?
Yeah. So initially, when the human remains are found, like I said, there's no precedent between the government how to handle this kind of thing. So whether they can take it back or, and also the Americans being from a government organization, they're very careful, they wanted to find out what is the procedure of taking this remain back to US. So, and on the other hand, the Indian government didn't have a precedent. So then it was established, the put a system in place whereby firstly they'll determine that it's really an American remain by DNA and other means. So the Forensic Survey of India was brought into picture. So any remains that's found, that they are kept in Calcutta in Forensic Survey of India, and jointly between Indian anthropologists and Indian anthropologists, they established that this is the human remains are related to the certain family members by DNA. So then it's taken back to the US.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
No hands raised, I see. And is Vidur here? Vidur from our social media team?
Yes, sir. Yes, I am here.
So if you would like to speak to members, ask for some things. You've always said that we need more data, more information.
Yes, sir. So actually, we've surprisingly we've actually.
And also, if you can update what all briefly we have been doing for the association, for the members, that they know, and if they have any questions for the social media team or suggestions, please come forward.
Sure, sir. So we have been receiving a lot of stuff in terms of the kind of activities that people have been doing in and around India, keeping in mind the 31 activities. So we have been trying our best to promote that. So this, in fact, some time ago told us to start talking about about some safety aspects that we could incorporate in the entire process of our social media posting. which we had the guidelines and we have the guidelines, but we're just looking at ways that we can make it a little more interesting from what it was last year. Since last year it was just like a few photographs and like some text. This year we want to make it a little more interesting and a little more eye-opening for followers and our viewers and stuff like that. So I mean, if there is anything apart from the SOP and something that people are doing that might that in their own campsites or own lodges, or when it comes to their trips, if they could like share some stuff about that via email, we can ask Sonam to get in touch, because that's what we've been receiving a lot of stuff from members when it comes to social media now, at least a lot more than what it was like some months back. So which is great. And but yes, I mean, the more content we have from members, the better it is for us. So I would just like request all the members, if they continue sharing stuff, it will be good for us. And you know, I'm sure that it definitely is going to start generating some value, because now we've started tagging like operators, and we started showcasing some of their trips and all, which I think at some point people were a little skeptical initially, but now we've been doing that. So, you know, in case you have any fascinating, interesting trips, because I think this is the right time to kind of start pushing your personal trips, because people are going to start looking to step outside and step outdoors. So in case you guys have any interesting trips that you feel might be, you know, unique and you would like to share, please, you're more than welcome to share it with Sonam and she'll pass it on to us.
Thank you, Vidur.
Yes.
I see you there, Milind, and from what has been the scenario in India for the last 1 month, Delhi and Bombay have probably been the worst hit. Now it's spreading to parts of South India also, sadly. So Milind, you're living in Bombay. If you can update us a bit, how are things now? Thanks.
Hi. Well, things are quite kind of better now in Bombay. In the last couple of weeks, the numbers have drastically come down. Last figure that I heard was almost below record low, you can say. From the record high of it was almost 12,000. Can you hear me well?
No, your audio is not very clear, Milind.
I hope you can hear me.
It's good, but not very clear.
Okay. I said now the numbers are far better than what it was earlier. From the record high of almost 12,000 people recording positive, it has come down below 1,000 now, which is like a record low, you can say now. There are kind of feelers that we are getting that from the first week of June, things will start slowly opening up. Currently, we are practically under the lockdown. The things are open only between 7 and 11 in the morning for anything that you need to go out and purchase. But from 1st of June, we are expecting things to slowly open from the first week onwards.
Thank you, Milind. Thank you.
And like the other thing is also, I was talking to somebody because I was hearing Dorje giving an update about Ladakh. And I was talking to somebody in Ladakh just yesterday only. And what I get to hear is they are kind of having 100 cases every day, which is quite a number for a town like Ladakh. And what I was also told is like most of the numbers are coming from the people who go there for temporary work, like a labor or staff from the hotel and things like that. Most of those people were admitted into the hospitals, and they were contemplating of a complete lockdown for at least 15 days, is what I heard. Of course, Dorje can confirm whether it has come in action or not.
Thank you, Dorje.
You know, all the laborers who are coming from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, after they don't come with RT-PCR test, and the government has to do all the tests at the small airport. We have a very small airport, as you know, so that small space is used to, you know, just 3 weeks before, all the 12 flights were coming all full. So it was 1,500 to 2,000 people average coming every day, and every day 2,000 people are tested, and 150 people were coming positive, and they were kept quarantined in government institutional quarantine centers. But after beyond that, you know, the government was not capable of keeping every other labor in quarantine centers. So and they came up with the law that they have to go back in the second flight for those who are not coming with the proper RT-PCR test. So all these 100 and more cases are all mostly they are laborers who are just coming without test, and the government tried quarantining them, but later we got helpless. So now, yes, nobody can enter Ladakh without RT-PCR now, not even laborers, and the government is also not liable to do the to keep them in quarantine centers. They just have to go back in the second flight. So right now, the civil society has asked the administration for a 15 days lockdown, which is from today. But we have requested the government to keep the the industry, the economy moving, and let the tourists at least go to the sightseeing places and not indulge with the locals. So right now, things are a bit skeptical for these 2 weeks.
Thank you, Dorje. So Vishwas, before should we close the meeting before that a vote of thanks? Is that all right, Vishwas?
Yes, please.
So Rajesh.
Yeah, okay.
For everybody, thank you.
Sure. Anyway, can I take 2 minutes of time and park a thought?
Sorry, Rajesh, before you do vote of thanks, I see Sunilji and Abhay's hand. So Sunilji, over to you.
I'm very sad to inform our colleagues that we just lost Mr. Gurcharan Singh, fondly known as Roman, the Senior Vice President of the Minar Group. And we have Ms. Jasmine and Mr. Dugal online with us. We would all like to convey our deepest condolences.
Yes, Sunilji. In fact, I've also had read the same message and other messages also, and keeping that in view, it was my thought when I suggested 2 minutes of silence for everybody. Yes, we extend our deepest condolences to Minar family and Roman's family, who was a dear friend, and I have known him for more than 10 years, and meeting at different travel fairs and all stories with every travel colleague. So yes, thank you, Sunilji, for highlighting it again. Abhay, you had something to say?
Yes, thank you. My question is for the Dorje Namgyal, and I'm putting it up for the benefit of everyone. I've been hearing conflicting information, so it would be great if a ATOI member could actually clarify.
We can't hear you properly. Sorry.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I'm asking this question for the benefit of everyone, and the reason is I'm hearing conflicting information about ground reality in Ladakh. So my request to Dorje is, if you could tell us if the monuments and the places of tourist interest are open, particularly monuments like monasteries like Tikse and Hemis, can tourists visit them?
Yeah, tourists can visit all the monasteries. Only the monuments which are looked after by ASI, Archaeological Survey, and the Indian Army that are closed. So the Hall of Fame, which is very popular to the domestic circuit, and the palace, which is managed by the ASI, is closed. Rest all the monuments are open for now, and even the river rafting has been operating, and the sightseeing like the camel site in Nubra, and then the ATVs are open for now. I don't know about what will happen tomorrow, because today the government is again having a meeting regarding the civil society have pleaded for a complete lockdown, but they haven't spoken about the tourists actually. They have just spoken about the locals, not let any locals go across their own localities. So we are just waiting for the government's proper information, so how to operate the tourists which are coming from tomorrow. So let's see, we'll inform you everything in advance by evening, and I hope this 1 week is a bit skeptical in operations. Rest it will be good. Yeah.
Thank you, Dorje.
Okay, thank you so much for the information.
Thank you.
Hello. Yes, Rajesh, please go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to park a thought which was more regarding business looking forward, and maybe about which in the members group later on, maybe on an email and some suggestions can come forward. What I see now across the Europe, some travel is beginning through something called the COVID passport between EU and UK and all of that. What I was wondering that though maybe with the pandemic is still going on, it might look like saying something a little too early, but we know one thing, despite this sad tsunami happening around us, we all know deep within our heart that the adventurer that we are, that the show must go on and it will go on. And we have to come out of this deep well of, sorrow and again start shining. So I am, even at the cost of, sounding, looking for positivity when it is not there, but I think that these conversations we have to start doing. So I was wondering that there will be a time and we can decide when, in the office bearer, in the EC and the membership can also help, that we should start some conversation with the state governments, the people who have, like I have lots of domestic guests who have got their both the shots, who are now willing to travel at least to the standalone properties. So maybe when and where, and maybe Vishwas can take it to faith, this kind of conversation should begin. So this is what the thought I wanted to park. And yes, I join everyone in giving my condolences to lots of colleagues and friends who have left us and for maybe a better place. And yes, yeah, but biggest thought is for lots of our smaller operators in those deep inside the rural areas in the second year, how they will be suffering. So I want to say a prayer also for their suffering. And in this process, if people have ideas how we can support them, then I will ask membership to come forward. And though right now, everyone feeling, slightly benumbed, but as I said earlier, we have to come out of it and we have to start organizing ourselves and looking forward. So I really thank Vishwas and Vinayak and the team and the admin team for organizing this and kickstart this, members meet today. It was a wonderful talk, and it was really at the beginning of it, I had a different kind of energy, and now I'm feeling really different, very invigorated and energized. So friends, let's keep meeting every week and start, discussing and sharing whatever. And yes, sir, I'll come to you. And so my big thanks to Oken for this wonderful story that shared, and all of us were enthusiastically part of it as if we were there. So great, and we look forward to such more stories. And great thanks to the membership who joined today. Anyway, before I rest, I will. I know that Sam and Captain Kumar want to say something. So over to Sam and then to Captain Kumar. Thank you.
Hi everybody. I'm Commander Samuel, for those who don't know me, running a company in Kerala, Calypso Adventures. First thing is, Oken, that was a wonderful talk. I particularly enjoyed it because I'm a Fauji and also a pilot. So it was really interesting to listen to. And I certainly would like to experience that firsthand at some point of time. I don't know. We'll see. Number two is that, like I once mentioned before, we have all gone through tough times, rough times. And when the COVID hit us, we were all specialists in a particular field. For example, my company was pure inbound tour operator, specializing in some particular activity or the other. But now things have changed, and we need to relook at the way we operate. And what I mean by that is that out of all the 75 odd people present here today, we have to look at not only, I mean, for our survival, we need to look at the rest of the 74 people also. So the point is that, can we change our focus? Can we look at things in a broader light? Can we start offering to our clients what we haven't offered it? Can we look at sending people? I mean, people in Maharashtra, Gujarat, Delhi. Can you look at sending people to Northeast, to Kerala, to other places? I have never offered any activity to the domestic crowd within Kerala so far, but in the last 2 months we've been busy trying to sell North India and other parts of the country to the local people. And the interesting thing is that, yes, there seems to be an interest there. They're happy to look at this thing. They would like to travel. So what I'm trying to say is that, can we look at promoting each other, thereby promoting ourselves? Just a thought that you can keep in mind and think about. Probably it might work out also. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Pradeep, are you there?
I want to speak.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Sam, what you said, I've said in the beginning, the only way to survive today in this the world is working together. I use you in Kerala, you use me in North India. What I mean is, you and me means the members. I think we have to learn from each other, experience, share information, and that's the only way to move. I mean, all of us who are in inbound business need support of those who are doing the domestic market. I fully endorse, agree with you. I think it's the time we don't feel shy in asking help. For example, I wrote a letter to all members, hey, please help me. And I think no harm in helping you there. I wanted to speak, Rajesh, you just raised a question about helping the poor, smaller agencies in the mountains or the other all around, and literally those who are actually starving. I think the association, Mr. President, must form a task force only to focus entirely on helping these smaller organizations who have a 10 lakh turnover, a 5 lakh turnover, or have porters or cooks. We know so many people around. How can we help them? There has to be through a trust. Forget about the trust. At least we should have a task force now to do this. But kindly, this is done on a war footing, and I'm sure there are a lot of people who would like to donate, not tour operators, but corporates, to help you to help others who are in need, because government is not helping. We're broken our head against the wall. So let's do it ourselves. Because these are people whom, for example, I've eaten food with them together with the porters. I've sat with them and spent a lot of time, all of us. I don't mean myself, but all of us. The time has come to please make a task force whose job should be to see how can we help. Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Vishwas, with your permission, if I also update members on the Women Task Force, which we had announced some time back. And at the back end, we have been working on it. Colleagues from the EC are working on it. Ladies have been contacted. Our members like Dilshad, Arshdeep, Guneet, Tejaswini from South India, Akanksha, they have been contacted and initial discussion is happening. And we'll soon get back to you all with more detailed information and the structure for it. And please volunteer in, whoever is here, and if they know other women from the industry, from our membership, if they feel that they should be there in the task force, please send the names to them to the admin. Thank you. So Vishwas, with your permission, if I can close the meeting, and that's all right. And we have already passed by 15-20 minutes what we had, because we wanted to keep it crisp, simple, not too stressful to sit on one chair for 2 hours. So thank you, friends. Thank you, members, for your time. And I, like always, I hope you found value in the time you spent here. And I'll again reiterate probably the third time that the idea to have these meetings is to come together and get out of that isolation mode and little sad stories which we are having. The idea is to chat with each other, of course, to have some great stories like what Oken did today in the coming weeks. But main idea is to see each other's face, to talk, feel together, and spread more positivity, as all doctors are suggesting these days. Positive socho, khush raho, and be happy. That is going to be the biggest tool for us to fight COVID and to overcome this. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
again. Thank you again.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye bye.
Good weekend. See you soon. Bye.